Hey. We're going to try this one more again. Great evening, great Friday evening, everyone. Tis Catherine Beasley coming to you from the Caregivers Connect. And tonight we're going to talk about the 6 stages of caregiving. One would think that there's only one stage. However, there are 6 stages that have been identified by researchers, doctors, scientists, regarding caregiving. And we're going to talk about 2 of them this evening. And this is a 3-part series. So we'll talk about 2 each evening because I think that it'll be very helpful for you to understand what the stages are and maybe recognize which stage you are in. And thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you. I was trying to do something different and it didn't work out. So thank you for letting me know, sis. Um, And so just know as well that you don't have to progress from stage 1, 2, 3 to 6, right? You can hop in at 3. You could end up in multiple stages at one time. Um, but there are 6 that have been identified, and we'll talk about them. So the first 2 that we'll discuss this evening are the expectant caregiver and the freshman caregiver. Tomorrow we'll talk the entrenched caregiver and the pragmatic caregiver. And then the next day, Sunday, we'll talk about the transitioning caregiver and the Godspeed caregiver. And so for the first one, the pre-caregiver, right? That's in the expectant caregiver, aka the pre-caregiver. That is someone who isn't yet a caregiver. Your loved one may not have or has not yet exhibited exactly the signs of Alzheimer's, the signs of Alzheimer's yet. Or dementia, or any signs that they need to be cared for. And but and you're trying to identify what your familial identify, recognize, rectify what your familial behavior is and how you interact with one another, right? And so I mentioned the other day that going into some of the groups when you're listening and you're hearing people being upset that they're caregivers, they didn't have a great relationship with the person they're caring for before they were in this position, and now they're stuck caring for someone who isn't kind to them, wasn't kind to them before. They didn't have a great relationship, and now, right, because they feel obligated or for whatever reason, they are now in a position to be a caregiver for someone, or about to be, or they're in that position. And so as the expectant caregiver, you want to investigate for yourself and see, are you interested, are you going to care for your loved one in the future, right? Regardless of what your relationship was when you were growing up, will you be responsible for caring for your mom, your dad, whomever, when they need your assistance? And if so, then you want to spend some time as the expectant caregiver preparing for that. You want to make sure that you start to try to have discussions to make relationships better, so that when you're in position where you have to be caregiving, that things may be a little bit better, it might be a little bit easier, right? Because this disease is horrible, just horrible, right? It wreaks havoc on that person's brain. So if they weren't kind before, it exacerbates that. And then you're just going to be miserable while you're caregiving. And so if you can make time now to try to rectify a situation or the relationship before you're in a position to be a caregiver, that would be great, right? Because you're still living your separate lives, and maybe you try to figure out how to come to some common ground. And if you're in fact going to take care of that person when the need arises, then you probably would do yourself, or you will not probably do yourself, a great service if you would take the time to build a foundation for that relationship now. And so you want to make sure that you are also working on your other familial relationships with your siblings, if you have anything, with aunts and uncles who may have a say in the care of the person you will be caring for. if you allow it, right? If I'm the primary caregiver, am I going to take into consideration what everyone who's not participating fully are saying? That's up to you, but you want to set some guidelines possibly for yourself. Get to know your loved one, especially if you've been estranged and now you may end up having to take care of them. Take the time as an expectant caregiver to get to know them so that you can be prepared to keep them on their routines and anything that you can do to make this caregiving journey more pleasing for both of you, right? And then as the freshman caregiver, that's when your loved one has exhibited signs of dementia or Alzheimer's, when they in fact do need your assistance and you're helping out, right? You're not a full-time caregiver necessarily. You may not even be in the same town, right? You can be a virtual caregiver, checking in on them and taking care of things from afar, not necessarily living with the person. They may still be able to live alone, and as such, right, they have enough of their capacity to function on some levels, but on others, you recognize that they now need the assistance. This is the time when it's a little bit hectic for you, right? Because you want them to maintain their autonomy and really be in charge of themselves, but you also know that they need your assistance. Not everyone who's diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia accepts it, right? Depending on where they grew up, what they believe, right? I know my mom considered it a sign of being crazy, and all the time she'd say, "I'm not crazy. I know X, Y, and Z," and she didn't really um, respect that and understand that dementia, Alzheimer is something that happens, right? And it doesn't mean you're crazy. It just means that you have this disease. And it's just the connotation that she grew up with. So it made it hard for her to recognize or accept that she actually had Alzheimer's at times. Or to accept help, right? She felt like people were trying to steamroll her at times and treated her like a child instead of letting her take care of things. And so during this time, you have to identify, right, and try to set some boundaries for yourself again with how much you're going to do, the thing, like what the plan of care is going to be, and start to try to put something like that together to get more involved with that person's day to day, their finances, where their paperwork is, all of these different things that will help you to prepare to full on take on the caregiving responsibility down the line, if again that is your plan. um, so that's a lot, and there's a bunch that goes into it. I'll continue this discussion in my Facebook group, the Caregivers Connect. So please do hop on over there and chime in on this discussion. Let me know what you think about these two areas. Are you actually in either of these caregiving roles or stages, the expectant caregiver or the freshman caregiver? Which role are you in or stage are you in right now in your caregiving journey? So please do join us in the Caregivers Connect Facebook group to continue this discussion and to investigate some of the things that, or to talk to us about some of the things that you did in each stage to help you to prepare for this caregiving journey and to excel in this caregiving journey. Hopefully you are excelling. I know it's trying. And we'll talk then. Bye-bye.